OK, let's bring in Juliette Touma, who joins us from Amman. She is UNRWA's Global Director of Communications. A very warm welcome to you. Now, of course, UNRWA has been through immense challenges in recent days, given the rush by a number of countries to halt funding for the vital organisation. What's at stake here for the people of Gaza and, of course, UNRWA itself?
Well, thanks for having me. A lot is at stake for the people of Gaza. Like Stephanie said in her report, the clock is ticking fast towards famine, especially in the northern parts of the Gaza Strip. And what needs to happen to avert famine is to send more supplies with food. And those supplies with food are with UNRWA. And so without UNRWA, there's no supplies, there's no convoys. UNRWA needs support to be able to get to those parts of Gaza and deliver food and deliver assistance across the Gaza Strip.
And in terms of UNRWA's ability to operate, to continue providing aid to those who desperately need it, how longer can the organisation last?
Look, according to the basic calculation that we've put together, the operation is likely to come to an end in Gaza and the rest of the region end of February or beginning of March, unless the donors that suspended the funding will resume their funding, or if we get funding from other donors, an increase in funding. But so far, end of February, beginning of March, including in Gaza, where 2 million people rely on UNRWA for their sheer survival.
I wonder if you can put into perspective for us what we're seeing at the border crossing of Karam Abu Salem. Of course, it is being blockaded by protesters, far-right activists, and all of that is having a detrimental impact on those who need the aid most in Gaza. Your thoughts?
Look, I mean, since the beginning of the war, bringing in humanitarian supplies has been a cumbersome operation and a huge challenge, not only for UNRWA, but for other humanitarian organizations. You see, before the war started, Gaza received on daily average 500 trucks every day. In none of the days since the war started, and it's been 4 months, in none of the days have we come even close to that number. The highest we had was 300, and that was only during the short-lived humanitarian pause. So much more humanitarian supplies need to come in, and also commercial supplies, so that the market in Gaza, which is almost non-existent now, can stand back on its feet. The humanitarian operation in Gaza, which is led by UNRWA, cannot do it on its own.
Of course, in recent days, ever since the allegations levelled against at least a dozen UNRWA staffers surfaced, UNRWA has faced an awful lot of pressure internationally, but it's also been subject to attacks as well. I understand a convoy was hit. What more can you tell us?
Yes, yesterday we can confirm that an UNRWA-led convoy that was in fact on its way up to the north with some food assistance, it got hit just north of Deir el-Balah, so in the middle areas before it reached its destination, and the convoy waited even after it was hit. It waited for hours, and it was not allowed to cross to the north. And this is the third time that a humanitarian convoy led by UNRWA is hit, either on its way up or down from the north of the Gaza Strip, where the highest pockets of starvation and hunger have been identified by the United Nations.
Turning to the investigation now, because, of course, this investigation into allegations against UNRWA staff, 12 in total, is now underway. What evidence has been provided by Israel to UNRWA and, of course, the UN at large to substantiate these claims surrounding these 12 individuals?
In terms of what was relayed to us by the Israeli authorities, I can confirm that UNRWA received information verbally from the Israeli authorities about these very, very serious allegations about our staff alleged involvement in the attack on Israel on the 7th of October. We have not received in writing any information from the government of Israel. There is an ongoing investigation. This is not an investigation that is led by UNRWA. It is, in fact, led by the highest investigative body of the United Nations in the headquarters in New York. And this investigation is going to look into all the information. It's going to take a few weeks until we know the findings of that investigation.
Were you surprised by the speed in which multiple countries who have been donors to UNRWA for many years stopped their funding? I understand 9 donors within only 24 hours.
That is very correct. And to date, we have 16 donor countries, including some of the largest and most committed donors to the agencies who have decided to suspend their funding. And therefore, we call on all these countries to reconsider this decision, also because the lives of 2 million people in Gaza, in addition to millions of people who go to UNRWA schools or get primary health care from UNRWA, the lives of these millions of people around a region which is a tinderbox, they depend on that financial support from our donors.
Just as a last question, I would like you to clarify, if possible, obviously the lack of funding at this critical time has massive implications. If we were to put an absolute time frame on UNRWA's ability to continue working, are we talking weeks, are we talking months? What's the indication that you're seeing as a result of these funding cuts?
Well, like I said, if the donors that suspended the funding to UNRWA do not resume the funding, and if we do not get an increase from other donors in the funding to the agency, or if new donors do not come in, then we are likely to make very, very tough decisions. And likely we will be forced to shut our operations in Gaza and across the region by the end of February or beginning of March.
By the end of February or the beginning of March. Juliette Touma, Global Director of Communications from UNRWA, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.